Hi Gypsy owners, it's Alicia Garcia again. We are going to be making a complete layout using welded items. Today I'm going to show you how to weld words and how to weld an image inside of a box. And so if I put that there, you can see our little cupcake inside of the scalloped frame. I have to tell you, not only did you get me with my hair done today, but you're also going to have a much better view of the Gypsy in my scrapbook room, because I was looking at my camera trying to figure out what the heck was going on and why the image is coming out so poorly. Aside from it being an inexpensive camera, there's a little dial here that you can shoot either macro or landscape, and I had it on landscape. Operator error. Anyways, let's go ahead and go over to the scrapbook room and I will show you how to weld.
We're going to get started by familiarizing ourselves with the buttons that we will need in order to weld. Under the Basic tab, I'm going to need the grouping feature. The Group button allows you to select a number of images and manipulate them all at once. Now we'll move to the Advanced tab. In the same location as the Group feature, we see the Welding button. The Welding button allows you to communicate to the Gypsy that you want those images to stick together. We'll also be using the Preview button. This button allows you to preview what will be cut before you've connected your Gypsy to your Cricut. Finally, we'll be using the Kerning button. The kerning button affects the distance between each individual letter or image that you've selected on the mat. We're going to start today by looking at the word sweet. I use the Pooh font set to cut the word out, so I'm going to come into my keypad overlay and find the Pooh font set. I like the marker font, but I would like a capital, so I'm going to select the Shift button. I'll select S, deselect Shift, and return to the lowercase letters. Now I will complete my word with W, E, E, T. I can now see that I have the word sweet in my queue. I return to my mat, and I'm ready to manipulate that as a group. I'm going to adjust the height, and so I would like to make the height of this letter set 1.66 inches. I'll make adjustments as necessary as the word has run off the mat. Maintaining this as a group, I'm going to go to the Advanced tab. I'll zoom in to make the word visible, and I'll adjust the kerning. I'm going to select the kerning key. I'm going to push them together just twice to start getting them near one another. I'm going to return back to the Basic tab, and I'm going to ungroup the word sweet. I would like to have more control over exactly where my letters are located. So I'm going to manually adjust the kerning between each letter from this point on. After I have unselected the word sweet as a group, I can go through and select each letter individually. I'll begin with the letter W. The letter W looks to be sufficiently overlapping the S. So I'll move on to the E. The letter E needs to be moved closer to the letter W, so I will use the left pointing arrow to push it to the left, or the right pushing arrow to push it to the right. The next letter will also need to be moved because I've changed the kerning of this middle letter. And I'll finally end with the T. When your letters are all overlapping one another as you see fit, you'll want to regroup them in order to weld them. I will select the T and then the grouping button. I simply need to go back and select each of the other letters I would like to weld. Now that the word sweet is grouped, I'll go to the Advanced button and select Weld. After you have welded a shape, the letters or images will appear in red. To preview exactly which portion of each letter will cut, you'll need to select the Preview button. When you've selected the Preview button, the hourglass will pop up and your image will reappear. This time, the image will not be completely red. All of the sections where the images are overlapping one another will appear in gray. So as you can see here, the S and the W have portions of red that will be cut out, but where they are overlapping is gray. This area will not cut when my Cricut is hooked up to my Gypsy. I can deselect the preview and zoom out. I'm now ready to cut my word sweet. Since I also told you that we would be working with welding shapes inside of a frame, I'm going to use the word sweet and a cupcake on a layout. So I'm going to return to my keypad overlay and change the font cartridge. I'm going to use Gypsy Wanderings for my shapes. I really like this little cupcake, and so I'm going to select my cupcake and I'm going to find my frame. The frame here is a scallop frame. So I will select it and add it to my queue. So now you can see the cupcake and the frame. I'll return to my mat and I'm ready to start designing with them. I would like for each of these images to be 3 inches. So while they're in a group, I'll change the height. Now, my cupcake should not maintain 3 inches. It will need to be smaller in order to fit inside of my frame. So I will ungroup the 2 images. I'm going to go ahead and zoom in so that we can all see better. And now I will select the cupcake and lay it on top of my frame. At this point, I can zoom in again. Selecting the cupcake, I will now resize it. I'm going to adjust it using the ball here on the side. I'll use the smaller ball to indicate that I would like it to get smaller. I like using these balls on the edge because it's easier to see what kind of difference just a little nudge here or there makes. Okay, I like where it's positioned at this point, and I like the size. So I'm going to go ahead and leave my cupcake at a height of 2.22 inches. I'm now ready to group the 2 images. So I'll select the grouping button, as well as my frame, and now move to the Advanced button. On the Advanced tab, I will select Weld, and select my images. When I click off of the images, they will appear. When I select the Preview button, it now appears red, gray, and then red. The areas where the shapes have overlapped are gray to indicate that they will not cut out. In order to weld a shape within a square, you'll need to have at least one side of your square or your frame touching the image in the middle and weld it. Now that I know that the cupcake appears as I would like it to, I can deselect the Preview button and zoom back out. I'm now ready to cut these images out and make a layout.